Welcome to Unshakable with Human Design, the show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs use human design to shift from hustle to flow without sacrificing results. Come here to become an unshakable human and build an unshakable business according to your human design. I'm your host, Nicole. Hello and welcome to Unshakable with Human Design, everybody. I'm your host, Nicole, and happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. Happy Hanukkah. Very happy holidays to all of you. We are in the holiday season. We are in the home stretch of 2024. And this is like a part 2 to our last episode where we talked about 2024 review of the previous year. So reviewing 2024 and getting all of our lessons learned, and then now planning and envisioning 2025, and then coming up with our word of the year, which is something I do every single year, which sounds like a simple little exercise, but I actually go into depth with this. I really take the word of the year to heart. And some years I have not gotten it right. And I feel like I've figured out what those, through reflection, realized where I missed the mark on those years and where I've hit it in other years. I'm going to share that with you. So if you haven't listened to episode 334, where I went through the 2024 review process, please go back and listen to that so that you get the full benefit, because these two episodes go together. Okay. So in the last episode, we reviewed your year. So I hope you've done this. You've reviewed 2024. You've looked at what worked. You're going to preserve the things that worked. You looked at what didn't work. You're going to shift, change, or get rid of those things. But now if you're saying that something worked, but there are things you didn't like about it, you don't want to not do the thing that worked and just get rid of it. But can we shift some things? Can we change it a bit where we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and destroy something that worked well for us, which we can do as entrepreneurs? We can wipe the slate clean and then shoot ourselves in the foot as a result. But can I shift something that I don't like about this so that I can continue to do this thing that's working for me, at least for the time being? And then, how are you different? What are the lessons that you learned? What are the things that you got out of this year? What did you learn was really important? What did you learn about yourself? What do you understand now that you didn't understand before that's going to make you better in 2025 going forward? This reflection, these lessons are core to building a 2025 that works better than 2024 did. Not repeating the same mistakes and building on the successes that we've already had. So now you've done that process, you've gone through that, but now we need to envision, what do we want to create in 2025? What do we want it to look like? And we want to base it on this review, because some people can get like a visualization for 2025 or for the year ahead, and they're just like, I'm going to have a 7-figure business and it's going to be spacious and I'm going to have financial freedom. First of all, those things are not specific, and specifics matter. That's not a plan. It's a vision. But if you can't attach to how you get there, then you're probably not going to create it. You need to let go of the how in the sense of like allowing yourself to dream, but then you do need to bring it down into reality to say, well, what tools am I going to use to make that happen? Because if your brain doesn't know how, if you haven't figured out some process to get you even close to it, then your brain is going to shut you down energetically. It's going to be like, we can't do that. That's not possible. And maybe not consciously, but unconsciously, it will be throwing up energetic blocks to you creating even a fraction of that level of success, because it just doesn't believe it. Words lie, thoughts lie, energy never does. Your energy knows what you can really make happen. So people that are like coming up with all of these big, flowery kind of visions that have no real basis in reality, those people tend to just stay in the clouds and it never comes down to earth. And earth is where we live. So we need to figure out how we bridge that. And we do that with, an ambitious, stretchy vision that is beyond what we're doing now, that feels kind of impossible. It feels like we can do it, but it feels like a stretch for us. That's the sweet spot that we want. We want it to be based on the review of 2024 so that we're creating a vision that is rooted in our reality. Okay, these are the things that work. I see this growing bigger in 2025. I see this growing bigger, but I see it doing it differently. And the example that I gave for something that worked this year for me in 2024 was huge for me, was repeating our masterclass, our Authority Accelerator masterclass. Selling into the Business by Design mentorship really worked for our clients. It works for us. It's worked for our revenue. It's been a huge driver, but it was a lot and I'm tired. And there were certain things that didn't work about it, but I'm not going to not do it anymore. So here's an example of how vision can help or hurt you. So my thought might be, okay, well, launching is what worked. We could develop a story then that says, well, if I'm not launching, then I can't make money. Well, I want to use my vision to combat that. And I want to say, okay, well, I'm going to launch less. I'm going to make more. Here are the other things I'm going to do to help expand the business, and I'm going to envision them working. What would that look like to have more space? How could I do that? How could it happen? How could it happen is so powerful because it starts to connect how with your dreams. How could it happen? So for me, how could it happen is where my best ideas come from. And then if I look at how could it happen, and then I envision it actually happening and working, that's when it becomes powerful. That's when any block I have to doing that thing starts to come down and I'm in control and I'm running toward that vision without any challenges in my way, or I'm able to kick them down real fast. But you want to look at 2025 and the vision you have for it, and you want to ask yourself, how do I want to feel? What's the life that I want? It's not just about your business. It's about the life you want to create. What results do you want to see? But what results do you want to see in your business? What results do you want to see in your life? What kind of family life do you want to have? What kind of personal connection to yourself do you want to have? What kind of romantic connection do you want to have with your partner if you have one? Or if you don't have one, is that something that you want to call in this year? Really look at it as a 360, because that's how you start to experience expansion and abundance in all areas of your life. And then when you start to get clear on that, when you start to get connected to what you really want to create, then the how starts to appear. It does. And if it isn't, then that's starting to tell you, do I need to make investments in this area? Okay, I want to have more recurring revenue in this business. What's keeping me from having that now? I want to have financial stability. A lot of people say, I want financial freedom. Well, if you don't have financial stability first, then that's probably where we start. And financial stability comes from money coming in every month. So that's one thing that you might be looking to do. Okay, I want to get consistent revenue every month where you have some base of recurring revenue that's happening, and then you get to build on that, and everything that you bring in extra that month is actually extra, right? So that might be something that you're working toward. And it's like, okay, do I know how to do this? If the answer is yes, you might have an old course that might take you right to the promised land on that. But like with me, there are some changes that I want to make in the business. And I was like, honestly, if I want to do this and I want to do it right, I do need to invest with someone. And I just did. I just made a big investment in my business. It feels really good. And the reason that it feels good is I know what I need to achieve what I want to achieve. I know what the whole is. I know energetically where I feel like I don't have the resources myself to do what I needed to do. In 2024, I didn't have that. I was like, I know how to do this. I need to, and I'm going to get to my word of the year in just a moment because this will help illustrate this point. But I knew what I needed to do in order to, because this year was about building more recurring revenue, really building out the Business by Design mentorship and seeing what we could do there and optimizing that. So what do you need to invest in? Who do I need to be? Who do I need to be in order to achieve this vision? Can you start to connect with that version of yourself? How does she move? How does she make decisions? What is her energy like? How is she showing up in the world? What does she dress like? All of those questions, you want to just start to get comfortable and get acquainted with this next level version of you. And now, what skills do they have? And do you have those skills already? Do you just need to fine tune them? Or do you need to hire somebody to help you? How does this version of you deal with a crisis? How does this version of you deal with payments not coming through? How do they deal with a failed launch? How do they deal with the tough stuff? What are they like with your family, with your friends? Really get acquainted with this next level version of you, because it's going to tell you, it's not just about like getting in the energy of, because that's important and that's crucial, but it's about aligning your actions that will lead you there. What are the actions she would be taking right now? What are the things she already did that you need to do? Okay? And then the last piece of this vision process is ask yourself, does this feel possible? Does this feel possible? Because, like I said, people can do real pie in the sky visions where, I've got a mansion on the water in Malibu. And that just, for most of us, that's not an attainable 1-year goal. It's something that you can have a vision board and you can be envisioning that and letting that be some long game vision that you're using to expand you. That's a different thing than your 2025 plan and your 2025 vision. They are different, and most people treat them the same. And that's why they stay stuck in dreamland and nothing really happens and materializes. So instead, it needs to be something that feels like you could possibly create in 1 year. Now, I didn't say that it had to be probable. It can be a big, hairy, scary goal, and it should be. But it should be something that feels somewhat attainable, where your energy and your brain isn't throwing it out, being like, we're never going to make $10 million this year, so we're going to do nothing. Because that's what your energy will do. It'll just shut down because it'll protect you from the fact that that's not possible. It has to feel somewhat possible. And this is what investing in things can do, because the investment I just made me feel like my 2025 goals are done. I believe in what I'm doing and who I invested with and what we're going to be doing together so wholeheartedly. It's going to make me a better coach. It's going to make me better inside my own program. I'm going to have so much more to offer my clients. I'm going to have so much more to be testing. I'm going to have fun with this. Like 2025 feels so sure to me now. So is there something that you need to make this feel possible? That's what I did. I made it feel possible. It wasn't feeling totally possible to me on my own. I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to mess around with this for a good 6 months to a year before I figure out what's really working. And I don't want to spend that time. I want to hit the gas now. And the moment I made that investment, it felt possible. It felt done, actually. It didn't even feel possible. It was like, oh, this is done. That's the power of it. So what do you need to do to make it feel possible? Do you need to scale it back where it feels like an attainable thing? Or do you need to just invest in something so that you can make it feel possible to yourself? Okay, I have the tools now. All right, let's talk about the word of the year. The word of the year sets the tone for everything. It comes from this visioning process. It comes from all of this. What's one word that could sum up what 2025 is all about? And where I take mine from a lot of times is from my lessons learned. So from that 2024 review process, I take my lessons learned and I'm like, what's one word that speaks to the vision I have of where I'm going, but also somehow encapsulates the lessons I've learned? And for me this year, 2024, my word of the year was optimize, because it was about doing less better. It was about creating a routine, creating a solid foundation, a really strong one. I had one before, but I was doing too many different things that I was not optimized. I was too in Manny Gen land. So I looked at my lessons and I said, what's the lesson I need to learn to not repeat the things that didn't work? And to me, it came down to optimization. And so all year, when I thought about doing something else, when I thought about like diverting from it, it was like, First of all, I looked at the things that didn't work, and they were the things that did not align with optimize, first of all. And second of all, it kept me from doing even more of those things because I would ask myself, does this fit with our plan for this year? And I saved myself from myself by really being focused on optimization. So the next part is looking at 2025 and saying like, well, what is the lesson that I want to encapsulate in a word? What is it that's going to tell me what do I need to do, or what do I need to keep in mind this year? And this year is about scaling to me. Now, the other thing about your word of the year, it should be tied to your next evolution. It's what is needed now. Now, I had scale as my as my word of the year a couple years ago. I was not ready for scale to be my word of the year when I had it a few years ago. That was a pie in the sky thing. That was like, I'm going to, make millions of dollars. I have this big vision, and I made money, but I didn't come anywhere near that because scaling was not what I needed at all. I don't even think I really knew what it meant at that time in like a real practical sense. But now scaling is exactly what I need because I need to learn how to take what I've built and make it bigger. How do I do it more consistently and with greater success? So there's a bit of optimization in there, but there's going to be doing some more things. There's going to be doing things bigger this year. So that is how I landed on that. It came from my lessons from 2024, and it came from my vision for what I want to create in 2025. Now, once you have your word, you really want to be looking at, what are your next steps? What is this telling you about what you need to do, what you need to learn, what you need to build into your business this year? What are your core actions? Do you need to create systems? Do you need to establish routines? Is this the year that you start your authority platform or your podcast? I call it an authority platform. What are the things, what are the tools that will get you to that vision? Do they align with that word that you've chosen? What investments do you need to make? And they can be investments of time, energy, or money. But where do you need to put your resources this year in order to make this happen? Get very clear on this. Spend time on this. Do not sleep on it. Don't make this a 15-minute exercise. Make this something that you work on for the rest of 2024 and certainly through January. There's no deadline. January is the beginning of the year. It's the start of Q1. You want to start off on the right foot, but it is never too late to get real clear on what you should be doing and what actions you should be taking. Okay? So happy holidays, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being with us this year. And I hope that you stay with us in 25. We appreciate you. Remember, in order to have an unshakable business, you must first become an unshakable human. So thanks for letting us help you become unshakable with human design, everybody. We'll see you next year.
If you love this episode and you're a fan of the show, please show us the love on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to the show and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with other entrepreneurs on their human design journey, join our free Facebook community, Human Design for Entrepreneurs. Go to nicolelano.me/podcast links to join the group, book a human design reading with me, or access our free human design resources. We'll see you there.